Okay. Still setting up the meeting, so I'm going to do participants, inviting, copy invitation. Very good. All right. Let's see. Okay. There we go. Hey, good morning, everybody. Let's see. There we go. Boom. Now the invitation's out. So if you're on YouTube and you want to join me, come on Zoom, please do. Good morning. I'm Crystalline, and this is my Wednesday Heart-Centered Entrepreneur meeting, where I talk with heart-centered entrepreneurs about stuff they're working on, and I give them some loving coaching tips. So I'm waiting for someone to join me, anyone to join me, but I have a few people in mind, my posse. I have a heart-centered entrepreneur posse. First posse member is here. And I've got Rose here. Hey, Rose.
Good morning, Crystalline. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I am eating my breakfast currently.
Oh, yeah. What are you having for breakfast, sweetheart?
Fiber One cereal, Goleen cereal with kefir and protein milk to improve basically all those probiotics and fiber for digestion. So
yeah, that sounds really good. So you've got some high fiber with some yogurty stuff and a little bit of milk to thin it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, good. It sounds like my kind of breakfast, that's for sure. We've got the beautiful Ms. Susan Lundgren. Hi, Susan. Good morning. You're muted. Did you know that?
I did, and I still go, good morning, muted.
How are things in Croatia?
Lovely. I did my new moon manifestation stuff on Monday, and I realized I kind of had a Tuscan sun moment.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, but you know, like the one where she's like, you know, I wanted the house and I wanted the wedding and the baby, but it's not my wedding. It's not my baby. It's not, it's like I got everything I had on my list, but in different forms. But it was funny. But I still felt really, really grateful. Like everything's fabulous. Like I was like sitting there, like looking out at the islands and going, I have everything from my last new moon manifestation, just oddly slightly different.
Yes, good for you. That's a very good feeling to have, you know?
It is. I just need to be more specific.
Yeah, but I think it's like a launch pad for the next layer of manifestation, you know? For myself, it's funny that you're talking about that because I was walking, what I've been noticing over the last couple of months, like I've been really looking forward to going back to Italy, right? Like, oh, I want to get home. I want to get home. I have home in Italy. And so not being able to get home has been really devastating, like really shattering emotionally. But what I'm also realizing is it doesn't matter where I live as long as I feel a sense of community, you know? And one of the reasons why I'm so upset about not getting back home to Italy is because I was there building community. Like when I was getting ready to come back to the US, I had a whole bunch of people that were helping me move, helping me pack, you know, like, you know, well-wishers, people who had pulled together to help me, which means, you know, for me, that's a reflection of being a part of a community, you know? And the loss of that is the thing that I think I miss most of all. I think that's where the grief is coming in. And so it's going to be 8 months before I can get back, you know, before I make the decision to go back. You know, I'm trying to just stay settled and relaxed a little bit. But I realize that wherever I go, my next place, whether it's going to be in Florence or some other part of Italy or another country altogether, which it probably will be another country altogether. I'm probably going back to France. Wherever I go, I've got to go where there are my people, you know, I've got to find my tribe and a place where I can be, feel like I'm a part of something bigger, where my contribution and my presence, my physical presence matters, you know? As Susan says, I'm voting for France. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I started taking French lessons again, you know? I just got signed up with a tutor. And the funny thing is I signed up for that tutor. We had our first session and I couldn't do anything but speak Italian. The only words that would come out of my mouth were Italian. She kept saying, she kept looking at me like, oh, so you don't speak French, but you put that, you know, you're like high intermediate French. And I'm like, yeah, no, I do speak French. It's just not today. I just don't speak French today. I couldn't say, can you send me a book? I could not say that. I said, I need the name of a French book that you need to be to study for grammar. I couldn't ask her any of that. Everything came out with this weird mix of English, Italian, and Spanish, and there was not a drop of French in it. And she's like, okay, yeah, I have an elementary French book. I said, I don't fucking need an elementary French book. I don't need an elementary French book. This is one day. I've not spoken French for 2 years. All I need, give me 1 week. And I told her 1 week. I said, une semaine.
I have that same trouble. Like I'll get kind of used to a country and I'm like, okay, I start getting it. And then switch countries back to a country where I know the basics.
Yeah.
And I go like to like check out the grocery store and my brain's like, not English, not English, not English. And whatever language just splurts out. So I'll be in Germany. I'll be like, no necesito. And I'm like, no.
No, that's Spanish.
Yeah,
I'm confused.
it's like my brain's like,
Yeah.
you know, because they're asking if you need a bag and I'm like saying it in Italian or French or something. And besides, because my brain is just like, not English, not English, not English. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like,
You know what's so interesting? My one of my girlfriends, I was just kind of, we were talking about stuff, and she says, "Yeah, my kids are taking French and German at the same time. Like they have French in the morning and German in the afternoon." And I said, "So how are they able to speak English and French and German all at the same time?" You know, like, and I realized,
kids
okay.
can do it. It's just slow.
But kids can do it. And I know a lot of people though. I know a lot of
I mean,
people who
adults can.
easily go through different languages. It's really just a matter of training your brain, isn't it?
It is. It's training your brain. My brain is a little resistant to that.
Yeah, I know. And and so the thing is, so you know, for my my logo, I'm gonna show y'all my logo. And I know you've probably seen my logo before. All right. I get that. I get that. Okay, I get that. But here's the thing that is really interesting, because and this is what I'm listening to my subconscious processes. First of all, my spirit guides are telling me that I must redo. I'm redoing things. That's why I have to be in California right now, because I didn't do stuff right. When I came here, I was supposed to do certain things and I didn't do them. And I'm very aware of what those, well, I'm very aware of what some of those things are. I know I was very resistant to them because they scared the fuck out of me. I wasn't ready for that. So, you know, learning. And so anyway, so I'm sitting here thinking, well, why is it that when I did this logo, right? So here's my logo. Why is it that when I did this logo, I insisted on having both Paris and Florence represented in this logo, right? It was an imperative. And I said, I want the sun rising over Florence and the moon rising over Paris. And maybe I need to just embrace that these two cities are a part of my life, and that maybe I need to understand that I'm going to be living and having life and community in both places. Yes, yes, I fully 100% accept that, because that feels real, that's exciting. So yeah, I guess I have no idea of how this is going to work. Like right now in my consciousness, there's no awareness of, what's going to come first. But I know that right now, the pull to be in Paris is very strong. Like this urge, the desire for French food, the desire for French wine, the desire to speak the French language, the desire to walk through France, memories of France, they're haunting me. And I get these pangs that double me over. Like I was out walking the dog. We were just walking in the neighborhood and I smelled something. It wasn't jasmine. It might've been magnolia or something. Then all of a sudden I doubled over, like I went, whoop! And I'm like, what is that? Like that feeling of strong nostalgia and love. And all I could see was like the Eiffel Tower with the sun rising over it, like being out on a morning jog and, that big, what is that place that's across the river from the Eiffel Tower where they have all the statues and they've got the big tile. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, they've got like an institute over there. And anyway, I remember just being there and running and seeing the sun. Was it? Yeah, it was sunrise. It was like the sun was coming up and the Eiffel Tower was there and there's this beautiful red light and this beautiful blue sky. And all of a sudden that kind of like, when I was out taking this walk and I smelled that smell, it's like I got hit with the power of that moment, And it breaks my heart with all the joy. It's like you could feel this just kind of like, but then I'm not there. And so there's this tremendous sadness, but there's this tremendous joy. It's so fucking confusing, And this is what kind of drives me. And this is what drives me around the world. This is what led me to Croatia, what led me to Italy, what led me to Cambodia, with these strong feelings of, I must have this, Yeah, anyway. Hi, welcome to the show. Maybe that should be the topic of our discussion for today. Like, well, the sun is moving into Leo. Is today the 22nd or the 23rd? 22nd? So it's Christina's birthday today. It's the last day of Cancer. And maybe Christina will join us. The 23rd is when the sun officially moves into Leo. So today is the last day of Cancer. And I guess the thing that I want to ask you all, I know, right? Like, finally. Yeah, it was hard. Cancer was really hard this year. The thing I want you all to maybe think about is what is calling you? What are the strong impulses? What is leading you? What is inflaming your passion, inflaming your hunger, inflaming your drive, and making you yearn at the deepest part of yourself? What gives you pleasure? There's pleasure in that yearning, even though it's painful. Paris is cake. I just saw that. That just popped up. Yep, cake. Yes, girl. Okay, look, Susan, cake. I was driving down the street in a hurry to get home. I was trying to hurry up and get home. Apollo and I passed a bakery and it said something like, I thought it said nothing but cake. And I'm like, nothing but cake. I had to drive down for a mile and do a U-turn, come back for a mile to get there so that I could say, did that really say nothing but cake? So I went into the shopping center and it said nothing bundt cake. Nothing bundt cake. So it was the bundt cakes. So you know I was disappointed, right? Because I'm not a big bundt cake fan. But I said, look, I just drove a mile, 2 miles to get here. I am going to get a bundt cake. So they had they had little tiny bundt cakes, medium size, and then large ones. I got a medium size one, a marble bundt cake. So it's kind of chocolatey and a little bit vanilla. It was so good, like so delicious and moist. Happiness, cake. Yes, Susan, yes. All right, so ladies, what inflames your passion? What calls you? Clearly for Susan, it's cake. Go ahead when you're ready. Feel free to unmute yourself if you're feeling it, and share with me. Oh, I gave up sugar altogether forever. Unmute yourself.
I am. I just hadn't. I was like, oh, I'm getting there. No, I tend to do it on and off. So I just gave it up 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah, I get it.
So and this is when it hits me, like the 3-day, 4-day mark.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so sorry for going on about cake.
Oh no, it's fine. It's totally fine. I've been going on about cake with my friend.
Yes. Oh, you know, it's
she's
funny.
total Taurus, so she was like,
She can't help it. You know, I in Croatia, I didn't like Croatian desserts.
I don't either, so it's easy.
Yeah, look, I'm very particular about desserts. I don't really like Italian desserts either. Tiramisu is great. I'm not into Italian desserts so much. I love French desserts and I love American desserts. Like I love American apple pie, blueberry cobbler, and angel food cake, layer cakes, you know, American style, my favorite thing. But Croatians were like appalled that I did not like their cake. And I'm like, yeah, sorry guys. I'm very particular. Desserts are particular. That's all.
Like some people make a good torta, and I like them because they're not too sweet.
Sure.
But overall, like I never see anything that's like, oh, I've got to have it.
Sure.
Like there's not that much temptation. There's temptation when I'm like in the section and there's Swiss chocolate, and I'm like, ooh.
Okay. Sure. But you know what? And Croatians do food very well, right? Like, you know, fresh food, vegetables, meat, fish. They do food very well. Wine is just. Croatia's a good place. Croatia, a good place. Okay, I'm just saying, it's a good place. Good place. But yeah, desserts are just different for me. Excellent. Who wants to talk about their inflamed?
Okay, so yes.
Inflamed passions, anyone want to share their passion? Inflammation.
Go Rose, and I'll go second because I talked about cake.
Well, it's really interesting. I feel like in my singing career, I'm going through a little bit of a transition right now. I have not done the new moon ritual yet, but I was looking at the exercise and thinking about the void, and it definitely feels like I'm in kind of this womb-like watery state of being. And it's interesting because thinking about what I'm passionate about, I feel like my desires of the type of music I want to perform are changing. And weirdly enough, I want to perform a little bit of older music that was written 200, 300 years ago. For the past 7 years, I've been super focused on performing works by living composers, doing the whole MoMA with your voice thing. But more recently, I really want to get a little bit more into standard operatic rep. And it's strange, but I do rely very heavily on my gut. And my gut is telling me right now, whether or not this is a phase, my gut is saying this is important. Working on this repertoire is something that you need to be doing. This is going to help you no matter what comes out on the other side. So I am trusting my gut. I'm working with my voice teacher, and I'm having so much fun getting back to this repertoire after years of being like, oh, I don't want to do any old stuff. I want to perform new stuff. I want to perform exciting stuff. And getting back to it with fresh eyes, it's so fun and fulfilling. And I love how these old dead dudes write for the voice. It's It's really interesting actually, and so that's what's going on in terms of callings and passions. So
That
curious
is
to hear your thoughts.
that is so very cool. I love hearing this, Rose, because this is stuff I've never ever thought about, right? Like never thought about. I do love singing. I sing all the time. And I've always dreamed of being a professional singer. It's like my hidden dream. Professional singer, professional dancer. A secret dream, okay? And at the same time, I used to love singing jazz, you know? And I always thought like, um, you know, how fun to be a jazz musician in the 1940s, like how hard, but also how fun. And yet, and so I thought, okay, well, if I were going to be a performer now, I would be singing all the old stuff. But then I'm like, wait, but all the old stuff starts to get really stale. You know, like you've heard it so many times, you know, everybody's doing it. And, you know, it just, there seems to be this kind of pushing away from it, but it doesn't change the fact that when you sing it, it feels so great for you and your own expression with it. And so I imagine that, you know, so I imagine because classical music is so freaking old. And when you get into like chorale stuff and like just old religious music, an old spiritual music, that must have a really strange like effect on you, on your whole being.
I love it. Okay, you hit the nail on the head in so many ways. Everything you just said, I'm just like, yes, that's
Mhm.
you're completely right. It does have a very interesting effect on the body. And it was interesting. I was actually talking to this one about different types of architecture recently, and I realized that um, we are debating about modern architecture versus older architecture, especially when it comes to living spaces. And my thoughts with, and I have to admit, living in Boston, I like all the cute older parts of the city, the stuff that was built 200, 300 years ago.
Yeah,
And while we were debating about it, I said, the thing I love about it is that it gives me a broader sense of time and place because while it is so important to live fully in the present, it's amazing to be able to just get a broader sense of history and time, knowing that people have lived in these places 100, 200 years ago. Just that sense of being connected to something that's far greater than me. It's pretty
yeah,
profound.
yeah. This is amazing, actually. I'm so happy for you. That sounds like a really amazing calling. So, you know, when we think about this stuff like from a spiritual or energetic perspective, it makes me wonder um like who you were before, you know? Like
Totally.
do you feel like you have do you do past life regressions at all? Do you ever do any past life work?
I have not. I feel like I've definitely lived a few or quite a few at this point in time. I feel like there's some wisdom that I just know from those previous experiences,
Yeah.
but I would be curious to do more, and I think it might be important in terms of grounding me in this life.
Okay, so I'm really curious about if you feel inspired, I'd be whenever it comes up for you, okay? Just whenever it comes up for you in your lifetime in the next 10 years, okay? If you feel called to do a past life regression and you do something with past life regression, you must let me know what you find. I would be so curious because for my past lives, there are three distinct past lives that I remember and that I actually have a memory of, like a memory that I can kind of like fill in the gaps. One of them is from being a can dancer in like 1890 something, like in the late 1800s, okay? That's funny as hell to me. But another one was being like a bank robber in the 60s, right? And then one is really, really, really old. And it's like, I think I was African. I'm sure that was Africa. It might not have been Africa, but I think it was Africa. And what I remember about that particular memory is being like away, like being in the dark, like dark, 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 and being kind of like at the top of a hill. And there was a looking out in the darkness to a town or village that was on fire. And in that moment, making a decision, do I go back to see what has become of my village, or do I go forward in search of new horizons? And I made the decision to go forward in search of new horizons. And those past lives all have like an interesting impact on me in the present moment, and they influence like who I am today, like to a really high degree. So it's interesting. I'm curious to see what you come up with, Rose.
I'm super curious as well. I think when the timing feels right, I would definitely love to do a bit more of that work because, I mean, we all carry, in my opinion, pardon the French, but we all carry shit from one life to the next.
We do. Yes, we do. Absolutely. So that's interesting for sure. Yes, I love it. Excellent, darling. Excellent. I love where your passion is taking you. I love it.
Too. I think it's kind of cool. There's so many really interesting artists that I've found just by default that go back and like re-study the roots kind of thing on older, and then have it influence the modern. Like I remember in the 90s, I was super into Dead Can Dance, where they took the Gregorian chants.
I love Dead Can Dance. I love them so much. I love Dead Can Dance.
It was like the modern stuff with the Gregorian chants.
Oh yeah.
And there's this other band I saw in San Francisco, and I cannot remember the name, that again, they took really old stuff and modernized it, and it's like they went back and studied it. And so when you're like talking about that, I'm like, oh my God, this would be so cool to see what you do with it.
Yeah.
You know, a few years down the road. It's like, it's very cool.
It
And like
feels
what you're saying, it has a different soul to it.
Yeah.
it feels good to sing on another note. Like sometimes with the modern stuff, it's so technically challenging that all thought of technique just goes out the window. Whereas when I focus on music that's maybe a bit simpler harmonically or whatever, it's I can really just focus on singing well and singing easily and comfortably. And so I'm hoping to take that into the more thorny stuff that I work on. But it's such a nice break, as you said, Susan, to kind of go back to the roots, go back to my very, very early years of what I studied and just reintegrate that in my practice. Um,
Fantastic.
sorry, Alexa's going off, but it just feels very freeing in a profound way. And so I don't know where it will lead me, but what I'm trying to just realize or think about is to really trust the process with this. This feels right. I will do it, and I will just kind of see what happens.
I love what you just said. Trust the process, you know?
I
Like,
love it too.
yeah, and you know, like for me to trust the process of going and studying French, like it feels counterintuitive because all my stuff is in Italy. I'm, you know, even if it's 8 months from now, I should be going back to Italy. That's what my logical mind says. But my heart is saying, yeah, no, the Paris Marathon is April 11th, and you know, you're signed up for that. So, you know, are you going to go drop your stuff off in Italy and make it to France? No, you're probably going to go drop all your stuff off in Paris and stay in Paris, you know? So, yeah, that's probably exactly what I'm going to do. Trusting the process, though, like it's okay. Your friends in Italy are going to be okay. Your stuff in Italy is in storage. You just have to pay the man $80 a month to make sure that he can hold it for you. That's all you have to do. And if he decides he doesn't want to hold it for you, so what? You don't have your shit anyway, you know? Anyway, sorry, totally gone off there. But yes, yes, trusting the process is important. Very good. Excellent. Susan, where's your passion taking you? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, before we do that, Rose, can you please unmute yourself?
Absolutely.
Okay, you've got to tell me what in the hell is going on with that dog on your couch.
Okay, so this is a pillow, actually. I will bring it over. I will bring it over as a matter of fact, and you can
I
make
thought
the
it was a
Doge pillow.
dog. I literally thought it was really a dog. And I'm like, what is that dog doing?
One sec.
That is hilarious. Susan, did you pick up on that?
Because I guess my screen's a little darker, I should lighten it up.
It
So,
oh my God.
so I had a Shiba Inu cross growing up. We believe she was mixed with a German Shepherd, but cutest dog. Felt a lot more like a sibling than a dog in many ways. And probably one of the hardest losses of my life actually was losing the Shiba. So since then, I've wanted to get another, even though over the past few years that's changed, as I would not want to compare whatever Shiba I get to my wonderful one, whose name was actually Angel. Very, very sweet. But yeah, my parents, they know how much I love the breed, so they got me this Doge pillow. And the funny thing is it looks 3-dimensional.
Yeah, it totally does. And so when it was back there in the shadow on in the corner of your couch, it looked like there was a little dog there with looking at you. And so I said, "Oh my God, her dog is so cute. He's just looking at her." And then I'm like, "Wait, he hasn't blinked. He hasn't moved." And then I thought, "Wait, what is happening?" And then I'm like, "Wait, that's a pillow or a purse." And so it was distracting for a moment, and I got back, and then I wanted to mention it. So yes, he's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's a beautiful story too.
Thank you. Thank you for showing this pillow some love. I really should name it or something.
Yeah, totally. Look, the ear flops down. That's too cute. Okay, excellent, Rose. Thank you. Oh my God. Susan, okay, sorry about that, darling. What's inflaming your passion and guiding you?
Um, It's interesting. I had just such a weird moment. Like cancer was weird. This last month was just like, it was like I could go, I could not go as well. I just weird. It was just weird. I did so much good inner work, so much good shadow work. And it wasn't until I was like sitting down writing, and I know that feeling that you get, like these sudden there's pangs that just like, I want this. And so like I like, and it's kind of weird, I like old, it's like as much, and I always joke with my friends because I'm like, half of me wants like a cool modern dwell house, and the other half of me wants to live in like a wall of a castle. It's like just
Totally.
like I have like, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna have this house somewhere, small little tiny house that's totally chic and modern. And then I'm gonna have my old house. Like in Croatia, when I lived there last year, I lived inside the palace walls. And so it was like the palace is big. It's like a big, it's all of Old Town is the palace. And so they have really thick walls. And so there's shops and different stuff. And I lived like in the walls. And so it's a property. It's old, it has soul. It just has, it's just like an, like, I don't know how to describe it. It just has a different energy. And I've always just really loved that, as much as when I go to like Sweden or Norway, I'm like, oh, your house is so chic and lovely. And I'm just always still end up in old because I love it. But yeah, it's like I keep on getting this pang of like, I want to be in a little cottage in a village in community. And I realized, I'd worked and I'd made a pretty good community here in Croatia, but most of it's gone its own way in different reasons. And COVID's been weird. And I still have a bit, like ERA is here and other things. But that is actually the biggest thing. Like I had a dream last night, and it was all about like community and having people that cared. And I woke up going, oh my God, that was the best feeling of seeing people and hugging and having this interaction of people who I enjoyed listening to, and they were listening to me and holding space. And and that's right now. It's like I have a huge pang for community. And so when I was journaling about the dream, I was like, oh, well, that's one thing that I'm working on doing, is creating a very small membership group to create community. And sorry, it's an airplane. But yeah, that's my biggest desire right now, is to create some sort of really good community. I only have a choice right now of doing it pretty much online, but eventually, doing retreats and meetups and different things would be great to have people in that community that could come and fly and meet, in different places and really interact personally. But community is the biggest like pang I keep on getting.
Yeah, that sound I love everything you said, Susan, that the old architecture with the modern kind of aspects. I'm right there with you because I love modern conveniences and I love the, modern design, but I love some old walls, and I love old shapes and old structures, the way they look, the old aesthetic. I just also really appreciate and that old warmth and coziness, the old values, with, you know, servants and, somebody to build my fire and somebody to drive my big old Rolls Royce. Yes.
I was just thinking with the solidness of it, like,
Oh, you weren't thinking about indentured servitude?
no, I was thinking about shit don't break.
That too, old school like values, like things would last forever. Now things are meant to not last forever. It's
No.
so weird,
I mean, I love like a good handcrafted like table and chairs. And I
Yeah.
mean, as great as IKEA is, I mean, if I can find something solid and real.
hmm Look, it makes everything you're saying just totally resonates with me. And I'm curious to see what what you're going to do with your community. That's going to be very cool, and
Just craving real too. Like when we're talking about like, I think that's one thing about like a lot of modern is it is a throwaway society. It is a very much replace when the trend's done. And
yeah.
the same thing with a lot of our communities. It's we're not staying in communities even. We're very transient. And I want real. Like I want to have real conversations, real people that are in it just to be in it, not what they can get out of it only. Like
Certainly.
just real.
Yeah, very good. Excited for you to manifest, to manifest your dream. Love it. Um, Look, this for me is really inspiring. It's already been an inspiring conversation. And I don't really have really much that I can contribute, from the coaching chair, other than to say, you have to trust that your feelings are real. And the more trust you put in those feelings, the more tangible, the more it manifests, right? And I guess the opportunity to kind of think about, I was having a conversation with a client last night, and she had some feelings. She was following her feeling nature, and it led her to take some risks for her heart. She took some risks, and with her eyes wide open, she went in to these risks, and the outcome was not what she had desired. It was opposite to what she had desired. And so she was feeling betrayed by the universe. And I could totally relate to what she's saying. I could relate to her pain. And I could also relate to her response, which was, how am I supposed to trust my intuition? How can I trust this feeling nature when the outcome of my risk taking wasn't what I had wanted? And the advice I gave her, and I guess the thing I want to offer you all, just in case you run into some struggles or challenges to these feelings or challenges to your vision of what you want them to become, what I say is, when you've made a decision about what you desire, the assumption is that that desire is coming real. Even when you stumble, and even when things look like they are topsy-turvy, the understanding is that this is a temporary shift in perspective. This is a stumbling block or an obstacle that leads to opportunity. And I guess that's the thing to keep in mind, because I'm feeling France. And so I'm going to be making my things all about France. And when March comes, I'm going to plan for France. But if it takes me somewhere else, I'm going to understand that this is the dance is moving me in a different direction. You know, we're going this way. I thought we were in doing salsa, and actually now it's a waltz. All right, but I'm still dancing, aren't I? Right? Still moving toward the direction, still with this beautiful, beautiful partner, my beautiful life partner, just dancing in a dancing to a different tune. All right. Is there anything you all would like to say, or anything you want to share? Any questions you have, anything you need help with? All right then. Oh, Susan.
I'm like, it takes me sometimes a while to get my little cursor to get to the unmute. Like scroll, 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 scroll. It's like an ant. Why? It's like because I put my computer high, then I'm like like the old lady sticking going over the drive and the steering wheel. Well, it's funny. I kind of watched all of Stu McLennan's stuff on membership and different things. Really cool, very inspiring, and got all hyped up. And I'm like, I'm gonna do membership. I'm gonna do membership. And then, like a lot of things, I'm like, put on the brakes last minute with it. And it's always for a reason. Some things had to settle. I had to, get into a more stable place. There was a lot of things that made sense to wait. And now I'm like ready to do it. And I've got a nice warm audience and different things. And I've been kind of just feeling like in myself for pricing and different things with it. And like, okay, what am I going to offer? What's a good pricing? And he keeps on specifying, really go low with your founding membership. And I like that idea and I get excited. And then when it comes to it, I'm not comfortable with it. So it's kind of this interesting thing. And if you have any suggestions about the ways of feeling out pricing in your body, or suggestions or whatever, that would be really helpful, because I think that's the last step for me before I launch, is really feeling comfortable with the pricing. And I've done all of my tricks that I've learned in the different business stuff, and nothing seems to be like going, okay, that's it. Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to tell you a couple of different scenarios that I've done for membership pricing.
Apollo's not happy with my pricing.
Sorry, girl. There are a couple of, so I've done these. This is interesting to me. I'm just going to talk some things through.
Mm-hmm.
I am in a group, I'm in a program, and I would have paid for what she's offering $450 a month. That's what I went in thinking that she was going to offer this membership for. $450 a month for the year. She offered it at $295 per month, which made it a definite yes. There was, you know, I didn't even have to know any more about it. $295. The thing is, I don't feel like I'm getting enough from it, to be honest with you. And I don't feel like I'm working and as hard enough as I could be. And I'm wondering if it's because it was only $295.
That's the issue. Like everything I've ever learned or have experimented with, everybody's like, oh, I can't afford, I can't do the next one low. And I price it low and no one does shit because they don't value it. But when it's high, everybody does the work, does the stuff, gets stuff out of it.
Right.
Like right now, my consult prices are too low, I know. Like I have some diehard fans and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I don't want to price some people out. I'm trying to be nice. And basically I came to the realization the other day, it's like, screw this. I'm doing everybody a disservice by pricing it too low because they're half-assing it.
Yeah.
Where if they had more skin in the game, they wouldn't. And it's just it's a weird thing because every time my heart bleeds for those few people that I know are good people and will do it. And, you know, if I give it to them for $10, you know, they'll do it and be good and they'll be great, but they're rare. Most people that I offer something like super low for, it's like, oh, I'll download the free thing and then it sits in a file somewhere and they never even look at it.
Yeah.
So
there's a big difference between, there's something that's happening there, Susan, and I don't hear it really spoken about enough, you know, and I feel like I have a level of free stuff, you know, free, which I love to offer for free. And that free stuff allows me to workshop a lot of things myself. It allows me to work out a lot of kinks. It allows me to think things through. It allows me to keep things going on my terms in a way that I want to get things going. But my high-end stuff requires a large investment from me and from the student, you know, and the money has to match that. So those things that I don't pay enough for, I don't use very much. And the things that I tend to pay more for, I use the fuck out of, you know, like the programs where I'm paying either $500 to $1,000 or $450 to $1,000. Even at $450, I have let some things slide, you know, it took me 3 months to get into it, you know, like there were 3 months where I did nothing and I just spent that $450 and didn't participate, you know, and then I got into it. But the things where it's 1,000, I show up for, like, hi, I'm here. Okay, is that helpful?
That is, Denise, it's funny, Denise Duffield, whatever, you know, get rich lucky bitch, that woman. Like she's the same thing. It's like, you should go, I either do it for free or high end. That's kind of what I was doing a bit, and then I chickened out because I got, you know, I got so much pushback from people who are used to having a few cheap things here and there, and but I got burnt every time I do it. It's just like,
so one of the things that I tell all my students in the certification program, and this is where I get the most fight from everyone in my certification program. This is the one place where everybody fights me. I say you need to have your ideal target client.
Yeah, your ICA.
Once you set up your niche client, you do everything according to that client. And I said, look, you cannot choose someone who has all the great emotional issues, but they cannot afford to pay you. I said, you cannot use that person. That is not an ideal client. And you cannot say, okay, it's this person, but she makes a lot of money. It doesn't work. So what they have to do is redo this exercise until they find the perfect woman or man who earns, you know, if in order to work with them, the person has to make more than $80,000, then that is what they need to make. I see you talking. I see you're
I am totally
that's
listening
okay.
to you. It was just Leon asking if you can go to the beach, and I said 10 minutes.
Oh, how sweet. He's got to come in. He's a little, how old is he?
8.
Oh, can I go to the beach? Can I go to the beach, Tati? Oh, so sweet. Love it. Love it. Miss child energy. But anyway, the point that I'm making
Yeah. No,
is,
it's true. The ICA is super important because it gives you the focus.
so the point is, if you I don't know what an ICA, by the way, is. I don't know what
Ideal
that term is.
client avatar.
Okay, so your ideal client, if you only should gear things according to what they can afford. So for me, I know exactly who she is, and she can pay me, she could pay me $1,700 a month. Do I charge her $1,700? No, but would I charge her at $1,000? Yes. So when, for this particular work that I do with this particular person, where she's my avatar, it's $1,000 a month.
Perfect.
And that makes me work so hard. Oh my God. It
Yeah.
makes me work hard in a really good way, because I'm like, look, I'm about to charge $1,000 a month for this program. You know, I've got to have this, that, and the other, and then this has to be in order. And I got to build in these follow-ups, and I got to make sure that they have all these little details. My best is brought when I work with that client. I can't bring my best for $295 fucking dollars. I can't. What can I do with $295? What can I do with $295? Not much, you know? Just saying.
I love you. That's great. I needed to hear that. I really did need to hear that.
Excellent. Very good.
Because it is insane. Like my friend and I were joking, 'cause the other day we were talking about this astrocartography.
Yes.
And she's like, here we are, both doctors, and we're getting so much fucking pushback from everybody, like, oh, medicine and health shouldn't be charged and all this stuff, because I mean, I agree, we should have better healthcare system, blah, blah, blah. But she's doing very intense work, and and because we're working out of pocket and we're more holistic and we're not the mainstream, insurance isn't, paying us $300 and something for a 10-minute visit that gets you nothing.
Right.
Instead, we're having to ask for money. And so people are like, whoa, you have, and she's like, yeah, I get so much pushback, for charging, even, 150 for an hour, but this astrocartographer, it's nothing to pay 250 for him. And it's like, that person's making fun. And this is not a medical situation. It's not your health. It's not life and death. It's not this.
Right. It's priorities. And so you have to bring it. You have to tell people, you have to train them, right?
I know.
It's what we have to do. And the first thing we have to do is train ourselves. Because this is where it begins. Some people already get it, but some people it's innate for them to just charge right, Shit. It's hard. It's good though. It's a good lesson for us.
Totally.
Excellent. All right, lovelies. So look, I'd say we go ahead, sign off, and I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday. I look forward to seeing you, Susan, on Thursday, right? Don't we have a meeting tomorrow?
We do. We're turning in our stuff. I'm almost done with mine. I hate writing my bio.
Oh, I know, right? It's so hard. Oh my God, it's so hard.
I've rewritten it like 50 times.
Wait, when is
over the years.
No, our meeting is not until next Thursday, but you're.
Oh yeah, meeting's next Thursday, but we're turning, tomorrow.
Okay. Cool. All right, very good. But yeah, it is hard writing a bio. Wish somebody would write that for me. All right, y'all. So thanks so much for joining this morning, and thanks so much for your great contributions as always, ladies. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you next week at the same time, and of course, anything in between. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
You. Okay. Bye, loves. Bye.
Bye.